First, let's talk about like how it breaks, how consent breaks when we have agentic systems, or even just pre-agentic systems. In fact, a lot of consent implementation by companies is it's in response to needing to be compliant with privacy regulation. And it's an old-fashioned world. Both of those things are not very empowering. And there's a great book called Consentability that I'd recommend to you, written by a lawyer, Nancy Kim, talking about the globally required three things that you need for consent to actually be meaningful. Manifestation, you have an active consent, knowledge, what you were consenting to, and that you had free will. The lawyer word is voluntariness, we would say volition. And then alongside consent, there's notice, there's information that you need about what's going on, even if you can't control it. Some examples of what we're seeing going on these days when it comes to AI-enabled tools like transcription and note taking. Now, I've come to rely heavily on this when I personally was really against it at the beginning. And what we can see all around us is even though organizations like I'm part of a number of standards organizations that have a policy now about not letting AI note takers in, it's very hard to keep them out because they can be silent. They can be built into the tools that we all use, what I call big AI here. And it doesn't help to just lean on the sovereign computing paradigm when you're doing person to person stuff because you need to share across to people. And SaaS starts looking really good at that point. And then again, we've got this new Health and Human Services proposed rule saying, well, agents can just become users of electronic health records. Now the questions really arise. So, how do we solve these challenges? So, if you're using this hypothetical wish print service, you might want to print selected photos, send copies to grandma, preserve family memories. And if you did this December 1st, 2022, well, you had an intent. And then it turns out that behind the scenes, you're hooking up a system so that it can get access to your photos. And if you allow those functions to be done, you get a token. It was authorized at a certain time on that day. It's read only. That sounds pretty safe. And then fast forward to 3 years later. Wishprint now has Wishprint AI. It's got new functions, smart photo retouch, and it's got a refresh token that has been refreshing the entire time since 3 years prior.